A14 processor. Let's talk a bit more about the A14 chip, which features in the iPad Air 2020 and has started cropping up in online speed test databases. The A14 is based on a 5 nanometers manufacturing process compared to 7 nanometers on the A13, and likely 3 nanometers on 2021's new chip. The benefits of 5 nanometers, maker TSMC says, mean potential performance gains of around 15% over the iPhone 11. That's assuming Apple puts all its eggs in the speed basket, granted, since the A14 could instead offer 30% lower power consumption. Based on past behavior, we assume Apple will try to combine a balance of these two improvements, but favoring speed slightly more than battery life. The most recent speed test results point to improvements of 20% in single-core and 28% in multi-core, as compared to the A13 chip. We already had a sense that the A14 was going to be crazy fast. Earlier in the year, the chip appeared to crop up in some online benchmark tools, and the numbers were phenomenal. Take a look at the following screen grab from the popular benchmark Geekbench, posted by Apple Insider. It compares the score for an iPad Pro 12.9 inches from 2018, one of the most powerful mobile devices Apple has ever released, albeit since overtaken by the 2020 Pro and its A12Z chip, with what appears to be a prototype iPhone 12. And the iPhone 12 is scoring higher, even in multi-core. The A14 is clocked above 3 GHz, the first of Apple's family chips to achieve this, and despite having fewer cores than the A12X, 6 rather than 8, it rates higher throughout the CPU tests. How likely is this to be genuine? Reasonably likely. Prototype devices have been spotted in online test suites before previous Apple launches, which makes sense. By this point in the release schedule, the company will undoubtedly have created and be testing in-house samples of the iPhone 12. We've also seen alleged photos of the A14 popping up online. This isn't hugely informative, although markings on the chip appear to indicate it was in production as early as April. RAM. When it comes to performance, RAM is almost as important as the choice of processor. The fact that the iPhone SE 2020 has only 3 GB, compared to the 4 GB in all the other A13 phones, caused such a significant reduction in benchmark speed that people thought, almost certainly mistakenly, that it had been underclocked. For this reason, it's pleasing to see the inclusion of a really solid 6 GB of RAM in this year's Pro models. The non-Pro models, however, have to settle for 4 GB. The 4 GB, 6 GB prediction came from Jon Prosser in May 2020, but was backed up by the usually reliable leaker at A14 in July. Storage. We've suspected for a while that Apple would remove the 64 GB base storage option later this year, and set the minimum at 128 GB. The latest rumors, however, point to a less sweeping change. According to Jon Prosser, the 64 GB will be removed from the Pro models, but the iPhone 12 and 12 mini will still start with this lower point. iPhone 12 mini, 5.4 inches, 64 128, 256 GB. iPhone 12, 6.1 inches, 64 128, 256 GB. iPhone 12 Pro, 6.1 inches, 128, 256, 512 GB. iPhone 12 Pro Max, 6.7 inches, 128, 256, 512 GB. Screens. We may now know the full display specs for the late 2020 iPhones. In a tweet that's since been deleted, Display Search founder Ross Young dropped the full list, and it suggests that the iPhone 11's successor will have a much sharper screen. Here's how they're going to shape up, if Young is right. iPhone 12, 5.4 inches, 2340x1080, 477 pixels per inch. iPhone 12 Max, 6.1 inches, 2532x1170, 457 pixels per inch. iPhone 12 Pro, 6.1 inches, 2532x1170, 457 pixels per inch. iPhone 12 Pro Max, 6.7 inches, 2778x1284, 457 pixels per inch. Battery capacity. Apple sometimes comes in for mockery when it refers to its latest device as the best iPhone yet. What else would you expect? People point out. Technology gets better each year, and if you didn't offer better specs than the previous model, nobody would upgrade. In one respect, however, it appears the iPhone the 12th of may be a little behind its predecessor. Screenshots from various databases suggest the new models will have smaller batteries. Price: how much will the iPhone 12 cost? There's heated disagreement in this area. John Prosser, a high-profile and widely respected leaker, despite an error at WWDC, thinks the iPhone 12 will start at $649, a $50 drop in price from the entry-level iPhone 11, which would make sense, given that it will have a smaller 5.4 inches screen and apparently won't include any accessories. But more recently we've heard that we'll see a price rise, with the cheapest model costing $749. That would be controversial, to say the least, but Apple does love to tell us about its courage. The central issue is the cost of including 5G this year. Analyst Ming-Chi Kuo has said the 5G modem and antennas will cost between $75 and $125 per unit, depending on whether Apple plumps for the sub-6 GHz or millimeter wave variant. Kuo believes, however, that the company will eat this additional cost rather than passing it on to consumers, and will attempt to claw back the money by negotiating lower prices on other components and by leaving out accessories, as we'll discuss further in a moment. Apple may also release a cheaper and less fully featured, but still 5G compatible, model in 2021. That's a theory touted by Business Insider, for one. The price rise theory remains a bit of an outlier, so we're going to remain optimistic, like Kuo and Prosser, about prices holding steady or even dropping slightly. Here's what Prosser predicts, largely backed up by more recent leakers, with our UK estimates added in brackets at the end. iPhone 12, 128GB, $649, £679. iPhone 12, 256GB, $749, £779. iPhone 12 Max, 128GB, $749, £789. iPhone 12 Max, 256GB, $849, £889. iPhone 12 Pro, 128GB, $999, £1,049. iPhone 12 Pro, 256GB, $1,099, £1,149. iPhone 12 Pro, 512GB, $1,299, £1,349. iPhone 12 Pro Max, 128GB, $1,099, £1,149. iPhone 12 Pro Max, 256GB, $1,199, £1,249. iPhone 12 Pro Max, 512GB, $1,399, £1,449.